One of the crucial aspects of performance in tarmac rallying are brakes. In front of you, you have here a brake disc and pads. This is a U set to your left, and to your right is a new disc and new pad. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice these have actually got scratches in already. So even though these are new, they've had what's called a bedding in session. So teams with new discs and pads will just drive them and put what called heat cycles through the discs and pads to make sure there's no imperfections on the disc, and also ensure there are no cracks or any bits of material falling out of the disc and pad. So they've been bedded in and they're ready to go. Now, over to your left here, we have a used disc, and if you look closely here, you can see there's a groove on the inside of the disc and also on the outside. And that's where the pad has been rubbing against the disc under braking and has worn off some of the surface throughout the rally. Now, looking at the brake pad, we'll compare, this is the used brake pad compared to a new brake pad. Now, looking at this angle, there's not much difference. But if we put them side by side, you can see how much material is left on the new brake pad compared to the used brake pad. And to help those that can't see the difference here, there's a nice little indicator marker underneath as well that mechanics can usually measure off to measure how much usable tread is left on the pad. So, looking more at the used brake disc now. During a rally, the disc sits like this, the pads sit in a caliper, and the pads grip against the disc. So under high speeds, they press really hard and slow the disc down, and therefore slowing the wheel down, slowing the car down. However, with doing this, you create friction. And even if you rub your hands together with friction, you create heat. Now, the disc has got lots of vents. So as it spins round, it puts air through the disc and cools it down. But in order to spin round, it needs to be moving fast. And so as temperature builds on a stage, so the car needs to cool it down. Under braking, the heat builds. Under acceleration, the heat reduces. Stages such as Moya Valleseco, which is stage 9 and 12 of this rally, there's 1,400 meters of elevation change. 600 meters of it is going downhill, and that's towards the end of the stage, which will be particularly challenging. The brake temperatures will already be high. It's quite a twisty stage, so drivers will be having to manage the car by trying to keep the brake temperatures low. If they get too high, these discs operate at 800 degrees, which is quite high, but you'll see them glowing red. When they're glowing red, it means that the disc and pad just aren't gripping. The disc just slides around and the pad loses material without slowing the disc down. A knock-on effect of this as well is the brake fluid temperature rises, boiling and creating air bubbles in the line, and then drivers will get what's called a long pedal. The brake pedal almost feels like the clutch. There's no resistance. It's a scary feeling, but it's also normal. Drivers know what to do in that situation. They have to almost stop using the brakes, change down through the gears early to use mechanical drag, and turn in earlier as well to scrub some speed off the car. And occasionally they might even dab the handbrake a little bit to lock the rear, but that's in desperate situations. So overall, that is managing brake temperatures and how brake discs and brake pads work. It's a very complicated process. I hope you've understood some of it. And you'll hear a lot of drivers complaining on the second pass of Moya Valleseco, oh, my brake temperatures were too high. The driver that manages them best, the driver that doesn't complain about them, will win the stage.